You got me on the edge. Open my eyes. Open my eyes.
It's the Tinasha Gray Radio Show, brought to you by Source of Wellness Ministries, counseling and wellness education. Live well, move well, and be well.
Stick a pin. Wait a minute. This message is for you. Why? Because the promises of I Am will create a mega shift in your neural pathway and transform the trajectory of your life and destiny. You see, everyone faces challenges and hard seasons in life. Let us reset your promise code right here on the Tinasha Gray Show, broadcasting live Wednesdays 10 to 2 p.m. on 106 Inspiration, powered by 106liveradio.com. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Text, call, and share with someone today. Let's go with Dr. Tinasha Gray and other wellness enthusiasts. Who's in?
Tinasha Gray is on your radio. 106liveradio.com, where excitement meets diversity 24/7.
Greetings and welcome into Tinasha Gray Show here on 106 Live Radio. Folks, I get to hang out with you in the middle of the day on the wellness journey. This is a 40-day wellness journey. I'm your host, Tinasha Gray. And folks, it is truly a fantastic thing to walk it out. We got started and we're not getting off. And if you're on the mission with me, yes, I give you a shout out. I bless God for you, whichever part of the continent you're on. I say welcome in. I know there's a lot of people in the world and there's a lot of things to do, but you're here and that's what's important. So I celebrate your life, your legacy, your destiny. I'm on a mission, and it is to please God. It really is to please God. And so if you're in the Wellness Junction and you're gearing up for today's discussion, we're continuing on. If you've been hearing us earlier today, great. This is another day. We consider this even the epic marriage celebration where Jason gets to spend time with me and we hang out on a special day. It's like a date on the radio. Jason, welcome in. Thank you for being here.
I'm always glad to be here on this day here. I mean, I just love sitting here and just listen to how you just welcome me in. And I'm so glad to be here. And man, this journey has been quite a journey.
Yes. We just got started, really. Today's day number 3.
Hey, and I was on day number 1.
Right. You were here for the very beginning.
Yeah. So let's do it.
Listen, as we start, right off the bat, if you've been listening and you would have already heard, but there are some things that we're called to do. In Leviticus 4:20, God says, and he shall do with the bullock as he did, and the bullock of a sin offering, so shall he do with it. And he said, and the priest shall make an atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. What are we talking about? We were talking about forgiveness. This is something, we've been talking about conditional promises and unconditional promises, but here again, it's another conditional forgiveness. We're back in the days where people were offering up sacrifices. People were killing cows and goats and animals for the sins to be washed away. We don't have to do that anymore. But there's things that we still have to do. But that's not one of them. We got off, won't you say? We got off. We don't have to play with the blood of cows and bullocks. There was blood already shed for us. So we don't have to be wounded. He was already wounded and crucified for us. And we don't have to go into that place where we're creating all these sacrificial rituals there is forgiveness. There is forgiveness.
I can't even imagine if we had to go through all of the rituals just to gain God's favor. It would be too much. We would always be sacrificing an animal just so, we can, for atonement every day, every
Mhm.
minute. I mean, that's why Jesus died on the cross, so we can eliminate that process, and
Right.
and we were forgiven unconditionally of our sins. So
Yes. Now that we have been forgiven, it puts emphasis on now what we would do. I remember a couple of days ago when we talked about this, you brought up the Second Chronicles 7:14 verse, which said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then he will hear from heaven. We were talking then about healing the land, but he also says, and I will forgive their sins. I will forgive their sins and heal their land. So we see forgiveness is all wrapped up in these conditional things. If we do this, God will do his part. And as we start this part of the whole conditional, in a couple of days, we're going to be talking more about these conditional things that we have to do. There is work for us to do. And that includes forgiving others. That famous story, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, tells us how great an emphasis is placed on us being able to forgive. Let's find the definition of forgiveness. What do we have, Jason? Define forgiveness, because I think a lot of people are confused about it. Sometimes we think forgiveness is just freeing someone from the burden of having to discuss it or talk about it or identify, acknowledge. We don't realize that forgiveness has nothing to do with now reconciliation or the restoration of things, barbecuing again together. It has nothing to do with that. It truly is about letting things go, releasing people from judgment. So define that for us.
well, the dictionary says that forgiveness, and it's a lame
Okay,
definition, but
Jason says it's lame.
it's a noun, the action or process of forgiven or being forgiven here. But let's look at what the biblical definition of forgiveness. The definition, when in biblical terms here, is the act of pardoning an offender. In the Bible, the Greek word translated forgiveness literally means to let go, as when a person does not demand payment for a debt.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biblical meaning. The dictionary meaning is a real lame meaning. It just expands a little on the word, but it doesn't really talk about that. But just think about that, the act of pardoning. That's something that our president does at the end of his term, is he'll pardon folks that have been incarcerated. And, that's, again, the act of pardoning an offender, where you're letting go and there is no repayment. You've now fulfilled your debt to society, therefore I'm pardoning you.
Yes. And there's always rejoicing when we are forgiven. There's always that glee that comes along with it, because yes, you were being held in captivity. You were being held against your will. When we talk about the whole thing about binding and loosing, we never really put it together. We love the fact that you whatsoever you bind on earth is bound in heaven, whatsoever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven. But we never put it together that when we don't forgive, there is this whole premise of binding someone. And when you do, you're loosing them and freeing them and letting them go. That is
Absolutely. And to expand it, it's an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger, but it's also letting go of the emotions from the past. It's just a whole host of things that go on with forgiveness.
right. There's a host of things. So it's the favorite scripture is found in Matthew 18. Matthew 18:18. A lot of people quote it quite well. easily we can quote it while we're praying, but we never think that is connected to forgiveness. And I know when we come back from our break, we're going to delve into this whole premise of forgiveness with the unforgiving servant. But in the meantime, let's look at this part from let's read from verse 16. It says, "But if you will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word is established." And again, if you're studying your word, you know that he's talking about how to deal with offense, how to go through that process when someone has offended you. And it says, "Verily I say unto you," in verse 18, "whatsoever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatsoever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, I say unto you, if 2 of you agree on earth as touching anything, it shall be and it shall be done for them which is in my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst." But verse 17 says, "And if he neglects the church to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglects to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and a republican. For verily, verily, I say." So it's all tied together as to how to deal with a person who would have offended you. Yes, you talk to them by yourself, deal with the issue there and then. If they don't hear you, you bring someone else into the conversation. If they hear you, great. You've saved a brother. If they still did not hear you, then you need to know that whatsoever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatsoever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven. Read through that whole part there, and it'll tell you again that we do need to pay our dues. We do need to forgive people. How many times? Yes, 70 times 7. We need to forgive. We need to release until Christ comes back. Like, you don't hold someone hostage because of what they've done. And that is part of the promise. We want forgiveness, and if we want it, we must give it. Jason?
It's conditional, just like we're saying in this series here, that you have conditional promises and you have unconditional promises. But in this case, with forgiveness, there's conditions, because if you don't let go what someone else has done in offense, how do you expect for the same thing to happen back to you?
Mm-hmm. That's a big one. And we have done an entire series on the topic of forgiveness. So you can go back and watch that. It's based on the book, The Bait of Satan by John Bevere. But as we talk about this here in the promise journey, we know that when there is unforgiveness, the room is heavy. Have you been in that place, Jay, where there is an elephant in the room? There is unforgiveness encroaching your space, creating these roots of bitterness, which, my goodness, the air can be so thick. You can't move. You can't function with ease. Whatever you love to do before, you can't do it in that environment because there's unforgiveness in the room.
Of course. I mean, anyone that's human has experienced that before, where you can just feel unforgiveness in the air, and you gotta deal with that, the unforgiveness portion of it. And a lot of us don't want to deal with it because they don't want to acknowledge the offense when it comes to the unforgiveness portion of it. But as we are discussing here, when it comes to forgiveness or being forgiven, you have to acknowledge the offense first before you can even get to that portion right there. And I tell you, it's a wonderful thing when you do release it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can experience the promise.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. You can experience the promise. You can experience the favor of God,
Mm-hmm.
the goodness of God while you live, because you chose to forgive, you chose to let go. And so we do have a thing that we say here, that yes, let your faith become greater than your fears. Whatever it is that you're fearing, we have to learn to navigate around that. Don't be stopped, don't be hindered, don't be limited by people, stress, grief. Unforgiveness can limit you. It can cause you to be in a very dull place. Don't be limited by that. We want you to soar. As a matter of fact, we don't want you to settle for less. And if there is unforgiveness, you're settling for less. You're holding yourself back. You're literally bound. You're bound. You're bound. The truth does not have a hold on you.
That's a bad place to be in.
You're bound. You're tied to a tree. You're bound. You're being held captive to who you really is. And so we are encouraging you to deal with whatever it is that you're having a hard time forgiving someone about. Let it go. Release them from your judgment. Release them. Sever the cords. Cut it off. Chop it off. Don't take the bait. Brother, sister, don't take the bait. I consider you a friend. Don't take the bait. I'm telling you, because it will hold you in bondage. You're a hostage to that person. What do they say? That you be drinking poison and you're hoping the other person will die of it? Yeah?
Let me just put it this way. Forgiveness is more for your benefit than the other person. And it goes back clearly to what Tinasha just said, that if you hold unforgiveness in for a person, then again, you're going to be the one that's going to reap all of the benefits of the unforgiveness because you're going to be bitter, you're going to be resentful. And those are perfect ingredients for bad health, bad attitude, and everything else in your life falling apart. So when you do release a person from from your judgment, and you release them from the things that they've done that offended you from offense, man, what a weight lifted off your shoulder. The blessings of God will pour upon you. I mean, that is the thing that would block your blessing.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I can go on and on and on. And I have to laugh about that because people really think that I'm going to hold this against you. You're going to suffer because I don't like what you did to me. And guess what? You're out having fun with your family.
Wow. Yeah, we're like...
I once was in that place and it tore me up, because I was offended by someone and they're out living their life. While I'm just wallowing in my sorrows. Nobody cares.
And you're even more upset that they're living their life and you're not.
Yeah, like this issue doesn't even bother them. You know what? It doesn't. It's not their issue.
Well, today, if you have not heard anything else we said forgive them and let them go. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back after this message.
It's the Tinasha Gray Radio Show on 106liveradio.com. Experience the difference.
Broadcasting live from Atlanta while serving the entire globe. It's the fastest growing radio on the web. It's 106liveradio.com.
106 Live Radio is broadcasting live from Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States to a global audience. Our radio station has a prominent international presence, which has grown to over 185 countries and is still growing. We stand behind our experienced on-air personalities and DJs to deliver clean and up-to-date content, which will leave a positive impact on all communities that we serve.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest, cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late. We stay informed. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission, More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Join us on The Male Perspective Wednesday night, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on 106liveradio.com, where excitement meets diversity 24/7. We will have a weekly dialogue regarding various issues from a male perspective.
I searched through the earth for something that could satisfy. A peace for the hurt I had buried deep inside.
Are you ready to elevate your connections and improve your networking skills? Here, you can take your career, brand, and organization to the next dimension. Networking with Valerie is your passport for personal and professional growth. Tune in every second and fourth Saturday from 11 to 12 p.m. for our networking events. This is the place to build and maintain relationships on 106 R&B and Throwbacks, powered by 106liveradio.com.
Looking to get away, relax your mind, or take a short trip to your favorite destination? Then book your next trip with Love Travels. With Love Travels, your next trip or vacation will be an enjoyable one. No trip is too large or too small. Love Travels specializes in wine tours, land vacations, and cruises. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, not many people could book a vacation, but at Love Travels, you can now book your next vacation or trip with us. Contact To The Love for a consultation and booking information at 404-981-7457 or email at lovetravels590@gmail.com. At Love Travels, we love vacations.
The Male Perspective is partially or in part sponsored by Contact Electrical Services, LLC, servicing all your residential and commercial electrical needs throughout the metro Atlanta area. And remember that without Contact, you don't have power. Give us a call at 678-698-1101. Reach out to Contact Electrical Services today.
I'm Dr. Linda Chin, and I'm excited to present my latest book entitled Anybody Can Learn to Recognize God's Voice, a devotional and journal all wrapped into one. My hope is to inspire the desire to read the Bible, thus helping us develop our relationship with God. By developing that relationship with Him, you'll learn to discern His voice, His words directly to you. I also hope it inspires the desire to live the Bible, because living it means you're walking in obedience and in lockstep with your Creator.
Calling all authors. Do you want to promote your book? Get heard, get seen, make more money. Douglasville Books and 106 Live Radio is now offering promotional packages to create a better audience just for you. 770-949-4363. Douglasville Books, the people's choice.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to tell everyone else.
Ladies and gentlemen.
About 106liveradio.com.
Greetings, wellness enthusiasts. We are here to inspire, educate, and empower you on your wellness journey. Dr. Tinasha Gray is a Christian counselor, international speaker, and author of the Source of Wellness series, volumes 1 through 7. Also, be sure to check out From Brokenness to Wholeness, written by marriage advocates Drs. Jason and Tinasha Gray. Have you received your copy? All books are available on Amazon.com. Kindly visit our website and register today. We provide coaching, seminars, and upcoming events via sourceofwellness.org. We believe optimal wholeness is attainable. Keep an eye out for our 40-day wellness journey, weekdays from 10 to 2 p.m. on the Tinasha Gray Show on 106inspiration.com, powered by 106liveradio.com. Live well, move well, and be well.
Your presence is water. I need your presence. Your presence is water. This song's dedicated
to everyone.
Everyone who made it.
Yeah.
Any test to trial.
Hopeless situation.
Hopeless situation. Now you have a story. The angels can't sing. You're redeemed. You're redeemed from the hand of the enemy. Yeah. Here we go. Whether it's in the courtroom, fighting in the boardroom, trying to feed your family, kicked out underneath you. God's able. God is more than able. You can turn the table. So turn and tell your neighbor. Now it's time for you. Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? Just need one more. Just need one more witness. The God's still open the doors. He's still making ways. Where others say that there ain't no way. If you know this is true, get up. Get up and say. Ain't nobody telling lies. Ain't nobody say it like me. You don't know the story like me. Ooh. Testimony. Ain't nobody praise it like me. You give me the victory. Oh, yeah.
And we are back. We are back. We are hoping that you have been enjoying our discussion today. And as we continue on these precious promises that you can cash them in, you can cash it in. I believe it's like, a check that's been written to you. Maybe not a blank check, but it's a check written to you. And all you have to do is cash it in. What say you, Jason?
I'm ready to cash it in.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's cash it in. Let's reap the benefits of it.
Right. As we talk about reaping benefits, what we sow is what we reap, right? If there's a promise that says if you sow in tears, you'll reap in tears. So, you'll reap. The promise actually says if you sow in tears, you shall reap in joy. If you sow what you sow, you're looking for a harvest. And again, if we sow unforgiveness, we shall receive that which comes with it. Because you're not forgiven, I'm going to deal with you as the law said. I will not have mercy on you. That's how God would say it. So Matthew 18 is that scripture which we're going to camp out here for a little bit, looking at that. We're in the promised journey. Let's go.
Well, I'm going to read it here for those that are unfamiliar with it here. So it says, this is the parable of the unforgiven servant. Then Peter came to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Verse 22 says, Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. And when he had begun to settle accounts, one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. Verse 25. But as he was not able to pay, his master commanded that he be sold with his wife and children and all that he had, and that payment be made. The servant therefore fell down before him, saying, Master, have patience with me, and I will pay you all. Then the master of that servant was moved with compassion, released him, and forgave him the debt. Verse 28, but that servant went out and found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii, and he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me what you owe. So his fellow servant fell down at his feet and begged him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay you all. And he would not, but went and threw him into prison till he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what had been done, they were very grieved and came and told their master all that he done. Verse 32, then his master, after he had called him, said to him, You wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt because you begged me. Should you not also have compassion on your fellow servant, just as I had pity on you? And his master was angry and delivered him to the torturers until he should pay all that was due to him.
Mm.
My heavenly Father also will do to you if each of you from his heart does not forgive his brother his trespasses.
Ooh.
That sounds like a promise there.
Mm-hmm.
An unconditional promise.
Right. Listen, we got to bounce back from that place. You know, we've probably been storing up a whole lot of those very thing where someone did something and we find it's too difficult. Of course, it's hard. As hard as it is, we still got to do what's right because there are some things that are attached to it. And it would be so sad that our children get to reap some of the benefits that we've sown, some of the seeds that we sown. If our children has to reap those benefits, it'll be sad. We need to forgive and let go. Most people want to be elevated. They want to be on a higher plane. They want to accelerate and move fast and get all that there is. Forgiveness is one of those key areas, and that's why we're dealing with it early in the journey. It's going to lock us up. It's like a padlock.
I mean, we don't want to do it at the end of the journey because then it kind of you don't get the same benefit out of it versus getting it done in the early part of it. And, you know, as we build on this journey here, you'll see why forgiveness was something we put on the front end of it and not the back end.
Right. This is day number 3. I just want to remind you, unforgiveness can be a distraction. It can distract you. It can crowd your judgment. I mean, let's talk about this, Jason. When you are in that place where you have an ought done against you, we're supposed to go to the person and expose it. If you don't, it's crowding your judgment. It's preventing you from thinking straight. It's actually minimizing the things that you should be focused on. You're not focused on those things. You're distracted. Unforgiveness will distract you because the thing keeps repeating in your head like a broken record, playing over and over and over again. How can you get past it until you deal with it? You can't go around it. It's gonna meet up with you on the other end of the building. You got to go through it. You got to face it. Got to acknowledge the pain.
You got to acknowledge it here. And, you know, if you continue to keep thinking about it, the body knows when you're harboring something and when you're holding it because you feel a certain way. You feel tense. You feel angry. Your mind is not where it's supposed to be. But when you release it, you actually literally feel a weight lifting off of your shoulders. It's funny. I can't even describe it, but it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
The worry is gone. The worry is like the 500-pound gorilla in the room that's squashing you. Worry will destroy your life just as unforgiveness would. It's all wrapped up in the same package. Maybe look a little different for everybody, but worry itself will cause your body to go into all sorts of things that you don't want it to go into. Tension, tightness. You can get yourself sick because that's all you're thinking about. You're not focusing on anything else except for the thing that offense that has bothered you. And you got to let that stuff go if you want to, progress. But I tell you, the body knows things that we don't even know on the conscious level. I mean, you have the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind will know once you release it that, okay, we're good. Let's get back to business as usual.
Right. We're talking about a healthy journey here. And so if you are in that place of unforgiveness, like Jason says, you're carrying something. And to be honest with you, you're knocking things over. People don't know what's going on with you, but they can see and they can tell something's not right.
Well, you're not yourself.
No, you're knocking things over. You're oblivious to the fact that you're stepping on people, and people are becoming. They get the end of your wrath, right? Families can participate in it, in the anger that it exhibits. Your children, you can give them a licking, and it really has nothing to do with what they did. It has everything to do with you satisfying your own desire to feel better about yourself in the midst of this. and you have no clue, but you're knocking over things. There is a wedge. There is a offense. There is a fence being placed between you and the person that you're offended with. They themselves may not even know what's going on with you. So, what do you go from here? Forgive if you want to be forgiven, because that's the one thing we're going to have to seek when we're confessing our sins, confessing our faults, confessing our wrongdoings. We're going to have to actually talk about it for real, for real. And in case you don't know this, nothing is hidden in the sight of God, for the darkness and the light are both the same. Nothing's hidden. You think, okay, you can hide this. Maybe some people are even mad at God. Let's take it up a notch. You're mad at God?
It happens. That's real talk. I mean, people do get angry at God, and God gives us that opportunity to vent our frustration. Come to him. He can take it.
He can handle it.
He can handle it. Just watch what you say.
Right. Don't question him, above and beyond.
Yeah, you can ask him a question.
Right.
But don't question God.
Don't challenge
Yeah.
his existence.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's a battle you won't win.
Yes, but he can handle your complaints and your frustrations and the things that you are not so sure about. Yeah, you can ask about that.
But again, don't question
Don't
him.
question him.
And when
It's not a democracy, right?
No, not when it comes to God. God is in control of everything, and in this series here, we're talking about forgiveness, and forgiveness is a very powerful tool when you use it. Forgiveness can block all of your blessings.
Yeah.
Unforgiveness, I should say. Forgiveness is the key to that padlock.
Right.
The unforgiveness is the padlock.
You're locked up.
You locked yourself up. You locked up your blessings. You locked up the relationships. You damaged things unknown to you because, again, you've lost focus. You're now challenging all of that energy, all of that power against someone. And guess what? That person has no idea that you feel this way. And it's coming all back. All that rage and anger is coming back on you.
Mm.
It makes you bleed all over other people.
Yeah, and we wonder why we're scraping at the bottom of the cup. We wonder why we're scraping at the bottom of the barrel and the basket, right? Where we were experiencing lack. If the Lord is your shepherd, you shall not want. You forgive them, let them go, release them from your judgment. God's going to take care of it. He's the God of vengeance. He's the one who's going to handle all the things that you're locking up. You are locking up your blessings. And we're saying it like this in a very real and transparent way because we've been there and was tempted to not forgive, tempted to not let go of the wrong that was done to us. But we have to.
Well, you have to let it go. And think about this. What are you hoping to accomplish by holding on to it? What is the end game? You have to think about that. Take a deep breath and think about that. What is the end game when you're holding unforgiveness against somebody? Somebody that's offended. Yes, somebody did something that you consider as being wrong. And we're not minimizing the way you feel about what has happened because truly, to you, this thing was just unacceptable. But when you get angry and you don't want to talk and you're holding this grudge, what is the end result of that? You have to sit down and think about that. And think about how will that end result affect the other person if the other person is unaware that you're angry or you've been offended. That other person has no idea. There's a wall between you and that other person. You're upset. Things in your life are unraveling because all you can do is just focus on that person, focus on the thing that they've done, but you yourself are not accomplishing anything. So those are the questions I ask. And I ask this to you. What is it that you're hoping to get and achieve out of that? And if you can't come up with any viable answers, then the next thing I would say is let it go. Then you say, well, what do I expect to accomplish from that? Well, you get your life back. Mm-hmm. You break the chains of bondage. You're no longer nasty to other people. You're no longer sick because if you hold on to it long enough, it'll change the way your health is happening with your body.
So true.
And you're a much pleasant person. All of a sudden, doors will start opening for you that you could not have even imagined. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is what happens when you let these things go. And the beautiful thing about us being human beings is we can sit down and rational it out and figure out, okay, if I do this, then this will happen. If I do this, this won't happen. But we have to be in a mindset to be able to clearly see it for ourselves. There's a lot of information that's out there that talks about forgiveness and unforgiveness and what is these things. There's scientific studies that show that if a person is harboring offense, what it can do to the body, what it can lead up to. I mean, it's out there. That information is out there.
Yeah, we're
Read
talking
it.
about deadly emotions.
Yeah, read it for yourself, and you would see what holding on to stress, holding on to unforgiveness does to a person. It ruins that person's life. And just imagine you take it to the grave with you. You've now missed out on the richness that God has had for you and other opportunities, because people don't want to be around a person that's generating all that negative energy. And you are producing an energy, like it or not. Offense, you producing an energy that everybody in the room can feel. Unforgiveness, people feel that.
Yeah.
It's for real. It's real.
It's real. It is so real that we cannot stress it enough. And we would like for you to imagine that you have a door, a gate, an entrance to your promised land. But because of unforgiveness, you don't have access to it.
Yeah, that unforgiveness, causes you not to be able to fit through that door because you got this fence that's,
Yeah,
that
the offense.
standing
in the way.
The offense is the object that's causing you not to get into that doorway, and you got to shake it off of you. You have to, folks. You can't live life with offense in your heart, or being offended, or being, in a position where I'm going to teach them a lesson. You're not teaching anybody a lesson.
Right.
You're heaping all that energy and all that hot coals on your own self.
Ooh.
You want to get back at a person, treat them with kindness. Let them know that you're not offended. Matter of fact, forgive them.
Right. That's good counsel. Very good counsel. When we come back, I'm going to make some big, bold declarations for you. I'm going to declare these promises over you. Promises regarding open doors, regarding access. Because I believe if you use this break to shed and to relieve yourself of the pressures, then it means that you are primed. You are ready to take the next step into the fulfillment of the destiny, the promise that God has already declared over you. You are ready to take it up. You're ready to step in. I'm going to come back, and God's going to fill my mouth because I'm going to open it wide, and he's going to put some bold declarations for you right here on this program. Stay connected.
Making waves, another say that there ain't no way. And if you know this is true, I get up and say, ain't nobody tell it like me. Ain't nobody say it like me. You don't know the story like me. This is my testimony. Ain't nobody praise him like me. Ain't nobody praise him like me.
It's the Tinasha Gray Radio Show on 106liveradio.com. Experience the difference.
Broadcasting live from Atlanta while serving the entire globe. It's the fastest growing radio on the web. It's 106liveradio.com.
Hey there, this is Tinasha Gray, and I am a living testimony that there is no God like our God. Consider this a special invitation to pray with us every weekday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. We are here together with Worship God Harvest Ministries with Minister John Jeremy and our global intercessory prayer team. We are here to pray for and with you. Meet us right here on 106inspiration.com. Your time of refreshing has come.
You've been here every step of the way.
Hi, everyone. This is Glenisha McIntosh, author of GM Sunshine Devotionals. Join me every Sunday on the Upper Room beginning at 8 a.m. for a one-of-a-kind devotional experience as I bring to life devotionals from my book, Devotions for a Purposeful Walk. Don't miss it.
Did you know there are over 8,000 promises in the Bible? The possibilities are limitless. Let the everlasting promises of the great I Am be the soundtrack that you dance to each day. Keep them as your anthem. Friends, you were born to live an extraordinary full life, filled and punctuated with immense joy. As wellness enthusiasts, we encourage you to accept and apply, believe and receive, then confess the promises of I Am. Join us on the Promise Journey, a 40-day wellness journey to fulfilling your divine calling. Tune in to the Tinasha Gray Show, broadcasting live on weekdays from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Eastern Time, powered by 106liveradio.com.
Rich Jakimick, I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Hey friends, I am Carter Gray, and I am inviting you to stick and stay with us on 106liveradio.com, where excitement meets diversity 24/7.
Do you want to showcase your brand? Visit our website, 106liveradio.com, and submit your request to set up your live in-studio interview. 106 Live Radio.
The Tinasha Gray Radio Show puts faith-based inspiration, education, and empowerment in the middle of your day on 106liveradio.com, where excitement meets diversity 24/7.
And we are back right here with you on this blessed day, folks. We consider it a joy, an honor, a true privilege to be able to sit here. We are in the land of the living. And because we are alive, we're going to look like it. We're not going to act like we're being dead, like a corpse. No way. Hey, pinch me because I'm alive and I can't even feel what's going on around me. I believe that the promises are so real. We ought to take advantage of them. We can stick a pin right here because many of us are not taking advantage of the promises of God. We're living below the standard in which God set. He says, listen, I'm doing a new thing. And I believe it's a new season for a lot of people here today. We're going to declare some promises in this hour, in this minute, because we don't want to leave our broadcast and the declarations are not being made. Forgiveness. We've done an entire broadcast on that. I encourage you to go back and check it out. I'm going to add the link to this actual program right here today. Why? Because forgiveness is a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice that we all get to make at some point. Should it be an honor to forgive someone? I think it should be. It should be an honor. Why? Because God has forgiven us. And if we read Colossians chapter 3, it really encourages us to do just that. It says, yes, forbearing one another. It means suffering long, taking some things, but yes, putting up with it, right? And forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye. We got to forgive. We got to forgive, folks. There's no going around it. Bam, straight path to success, straight path to change. Forgiveness can bring change, it can lead to change. Things can turn around. And I believe that as we do that, we'll be just motivated to become even a greater testimony here today. Jason, I give you an opportunity to give your final thoughts, and then I'll come in with a bold declaration before we end today's.
Final thoughts, everyone. If you want to successfully progress in life, and especially in areas of business, finances, whatever, or even in your personal life, if you have unforgiveness that is lingering around, just think of all of the other things that are attached to your life that's also going to crumble. So whenever someone offends you or whenever you feel unforgiveness in your heart, my suggestion to you that is to rid of it quickly. Don't let it linger around. Don't give it a place to stay in your heart, your mind, your spirit. Purge it. Get with the other person if you can. Acknowledge the offense, especially if you're asking for someone to forgive you. Acknowledge it. Don't do a blanket forgiveness. And let's just move forward with our lives. It's a choice. That person will have to choose to forgive you. But if you ask for the forgiveness and they choose not to, then that you've done your part. You can just release them from your offense for them not forgiving you and go on with your life. But you cannot hold and harbor any offense if you want to succeed and endure the blessings and the promises that God has for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Wow, that is powerful. You want to succeed? Yes, yes, yes. I believe today that double doors are opening for you because you chose to forgive. I believe that you have access to the greater dimension of things that God has already laid out before you. Whatever it is that caused you stagnation and you felt like you were blocked and you couldn't move forward, you're stepping over that obstacle in Jesus' name. I believe that the crowd of witnesses has already been assigned to stand by to watch as the legions of angels propel you into the next dimension of what God has for you. Make no mistake, this is your time. It's not your fault. It's not anything that you've decided to do. God has already granted you access into the good things that He laid up for you. This is your season and you're going in. Yes, folks may think you're brand new, but you're going in with the energy, the zeal, and the vigor, the motivation to really step up your game. Listen, it's a thing about your will that God has given to us, a will, an ability to think deeply about what we're going to do. I believe you've already made that decision, and by God's grace, you are living in that place whereby you are obedient to the command to forgive. Yes, you made a choice, but you're also made a choice to obey God's command today. If you hear my voice, I declare to you that you cannot be stopped. You cannot be limited. You cannot be held back. You're moving in with joy. There's going to be a blessing that you're going to encounter. It's going to look like honor. It's going to look like wealth. It's going to look like riches. It's going to look like glory of God upon your life. You cannot be stopped, my friend. Go for it. Take all that God has for you. Now is your time. Step right into the blessings and the promise that God has for you. If you hear me today, receive that and know that you have it. Carry it like a brooch. This is your reality that you're stepping into the next level of your journey and your success with God. Let's keep going on this journey. If you want to continue on today, we continue our broadcast on the app. So find us right there where you can enjoy more music, more upbeat content right here with me, Tinasha Gray, in your Wellness Junction. I appreciate you. I love you. I value all that God is doing for you. Your testimony is valuable to me. Please share. Don't hesitate to call us 404-464-8785. Blessings to you on the journey. Peace.